guys. Good night, good morning, or good evening, whatever time of the day you are watching this video. I hope you are doing okay. So today we're gonna continue to read the history of the world in bite-sized chunks from where we left. So, chapter 2, the ancient world, 1800 BC to 450 AD, Middle East and Africa. The Achaemenid Empire. In 559 BC, a young king named Cyrus II the Great came to power in Persia, and over the next decade built an empire that would eventually rule over 50 of the world's population. The Persian dynasty of kings was called the Achaemenid after the Iranian king Achaemenes. In around 549 BC, Cyrus mobilized his people and conquered the Medes, Indo-European living in the North Iran, who had control of Persia, acquiring Assyria in the process. 2 years later, Cyrus' formidable armies controlled Ionian Greek cities, and in 539 BC captured Babylon, along with Palestine, to which he allowed the exiled Jews to return and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. Just before he died in 529 BC, he expanded the empire to the borders of India. By the time of Darius I, 522 to 486 BC, the empire's borders encompass Egypt and stretched from northern India in the east of Turkey, in the west equating to the largest empire the world had seen. To help keep control to the vast domain, King Darius first introduced an effective system of administration and taxes, and built in 500 BC a 1,100-mile or 2,400 kilometers road from Susa in the North Iran to Ephesus in Turkey. It was around this time that the ancient Persian religion of Zoroastrianism became more established. Originally developing from Iran 600 BC, its concepts of resurrection, the final judgment, and heaven and hell would also influence the world religions of Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. From 500 BC, the Ionian Greek settlements rebelled, and in 490 BC, Darius sent an army to Athens to punish them for aiding the rebels. He suppressed them, but was later beaten in the famous Battle of Marathon, which sparked the Persian Wars between Greece and Persia. Darius' successor, Xerxes, attempted to take control of Greece, burning Athens in 480 BC, but he was ultimately defeated later in the same year. This marked the beginning of Persia's decline, until the empire was eventually conquered in 330 by Alexander the Great. The Parthian Empire. After a period of Macedonia and Greek rule known as the Seleucid Empire, Iran in 247 BC came under the control of Parthia, a small kingdom in northeast Persia. Over the next few centuries, the Parthians built up an empire, also known as the Arsacid dynasty, that forest stretched from the north reaches of the Euphrates to the Indus. Situated also on the Silk Road trade route between China and Roman Empire, the Parthian Empire became a hub of trade and commerce. Among notable Parthian rule were the Mithridates first. From 171 to 138, who modeled himself on the great Persian ruler Darius I and the powerful kings Mithridates II and Phraates III. The Parthian had considerable skills in warfare and horsemanship. Parthian archers were able to shoot behind them as they rode, known as the Parthian shot, which gave them a huge advantage in battle. The Parthian Empire adopted a mix of Persian, Greek, and regional cultures, although the Arsacid court, which had retained some of the Greek influences, gradually saw a revival of Iranian traditions. As Parthian expanded westward, it eventually came into conflict with Rome, initially over the control of Armenia. The Parthian resoundingly defeated Marcus Lysius Crassus at the Battle of Caria in 53 BC, one of the worst military disasters in Roman history, in which a Roman army of 44,000 soldiers were routed, with only 10,000 men escaping alive. This battle effectively finished off Roman ambitions in the east. In the ensuing Romanian-Parthian Wars, 66 BC to 217 AD, several Roman emperors invaded the region, at one point seizing the Parthian capital of Ctesiphon. In the end, however, stability and war among Parthian-owned rulers led to the collapse of Parthian power when Ardashir I, a ruler from the Fars province of Iran, established the Sassanid dynasty in AD 224. The Sassanid Empire, I have no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm sorry. The Sassanid Empire established the Ardashir I in AD 224. Is considered to be one of the most important and influential periods in Iranian history, which ancient Persian culture prior to the Muslim conquest reaches its peak. The Sassanid court at the city of Ctesiphon became a focus for brilliant culture, where scholars studied astronomy, arts, medicine, and philosophy, and engaged in such pastimes as chess and polo. Sassanid artwork strongly influenced Islamic art, and its impact was also felt further afield in China, Central Asia, and even Western Europe. The Sassanid are also famous for their rock sculptures. The establishment of an empire which stretched from the Assyrian desert to northeast India led to almost constant warfare, principally with Rome, as well as with the Huns, Turks, and the Byzantine Empire. During the conquest of Armenian King Saphur I, is famed for his defeat and imprisonment of Roman Emperor Valerian at the Battle of Edessa in AD 260. In AD 296, the Romans regained the upper hand and the Sassanids were subsequently driven out from Armenia and Mesopotamia. Politically, the empire fluctuated between strong monarchs like Khosrau I, who died AD 579, and local control by great nobles. The empire designated in the 7th century prior to the Arab conquest, and Zoroastrianism declined accordingly. The Hebrew and their one true God. The Hebrews were Semitic nomads who had migrated to Canaan from the east in the late 2nd millennium BC, following the defeat of the Philistines. Sea people invaders who had settled on the coast of Palestine. King David, with the help of the Phoenician king Hiram of Tyre, had formed and unified Palestine, with Jerusalem as its religious and political capital. After 930 BC, however, the country was again split, Israel in the north and Judea, including Jerusalem, in the south. In 721 BC, Assyria took control of Israel, and by 586 BC, Judea fell under Babylonian rule, during which time Jerusalem was destroyed. The Judeans, now known as Jews, as distinct from the Hebrews and Israelites who were held captive in Babylon, began to write down their history in what would become the Jewish Torah and the first book of Christian Bible. In 538 BC, as Babylon fell to the Persians, the Jews were allowed to return to Jerusalem, where the religious and political foundation of Judaism were laid. Some Jews decided to stay in Babylon, thus forming the first of the Jewish diaspora. By this time, the Jews had developed a strong sense of themselves as the chosen people of a single, all-powerful God, the one true God that, according to religious scriptures, had appeared to the herdsman Abraham in the early half of the 2nd millennium BC. This worship of one God, known as monotheism, would influence the religions of Christianity and Islam, which also shared the spiritual forebear of Abraham. In the Bible, Jesus is a descendant of Abraham, and in Muslim tradition, Abraham is the father of the prophets and an ancestor of Arabic and Jewish people. In 333 BC, Alexander the Great conquered Palestine, and thereon the region fell under the control of a number of rulers, to include the Roman, Sassanid, and Byzantine empires. The Jewish presence dwindled, and Galilee became its main religious center. In AD 636, the Arabs conquered the region, and Palestine remained under Muslim control for another 1,300 years. The birth of Christianity. In around AD 30, a Jewish carpenter named Jesus, who lived in Galilee, in Jewish Palestine, by now a Roman province, began preaching to fellow Jews of the one God to whom all would answer. His teaching proved popular, and he soon acquired many followers. 12 12 of whom, known as the Apostles, he selected to teach his message. Jesus spoke of a compassionate and merciful God, a God for all men of all races, for whom the principles of charity, humility, and sincerity overrode those of ceremonial observances. His teachings soon brought him into conflict with the Jewish authorities, who regarded him as a political and social subversive. In Jerusalem, he was condemned to death by the Sanhedrin, the highest Jewish court, who then brought him before the Roman government, Pontius Pilate, who ordered his death by crucifixion. 3 days after his crucifixion, his followers claimed he rose from the dead, which justified their belief that he was the Messiah or Christ, anointed one in Greek. Over the next 2 centuries, the teachings of Jesus as enshrined in the 4 Gospels of the New Testament spread around the Roman world. The process was aided in part by the writings of a former tent marker from Asia Minor, later known as St. Paul, who wrote 13 of the 27 books of the New Testament. Roman Emperor tried in vain to stamp out the spread of this dangerous new cult, with widespread persecutions, most intensely under Decius in 250 AD and Diocletian in 303 AD. Finally, in 313 AD, the Emperor Constantine issued an edict of toleration, and from 324 AD he began the process of making Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire, completed in 381 AD at the Council of Constantinople. Thereafter, Christianity spread throughout Europe and beyond, became a major influence in the shaping of Western civilization. The Kingdom of Kush. The Kingdom of Kush, the first important African state other than Egypt, was based in the upper regions of Nubia, now Sudan, and grew to such a stretch that it conquered ancient Egypt for just over 100 years. From around 2000 BC, the kingdom was largely dominated by its northern neighbor of Egypt, although the Kushites had developed a rich and individual culture. However, in around 1000 BC, as Egypt's influence weakened, Kushite ruler gained nominal independence, and by 800 BC, a new Kush kingdom was established, with a capital at Napata. By about 715 BC, the Kushites, under the leadership of King Piye and King Shabaka, had overthrown the Egyptian ruling dynasty and conquered all of Egypt. The Kushites ruled as pharaohs until about 654 BC, possibly from their new capital at Memphis, with an Assyrian invasion forced them to retreat back to Kush. The Kushite civilization continued to thrive, however, and in around 591 BC, its capital moved southwards to the city of Meroe, located on the east bank of the Nile and close to the Red Sea. Trade flourished in the capital, particularly in locally produced luxury coats made of ebony, gold, and ivory. And Meroe grew into a major city with temples, houses, and palaces. Meroe also had rich suppliers of iron ore and timber, which provided the fuel for one of Africa's first iron industries. The Kushites were also one of the earliest people to develop an alphabetic script, as yet untranslated. By the 3rd century AD, the Kushite civilization was in decline, probably due to the exhaustion of natural or local natural resources and the loss of Red Sea trade to the neighboring kingdom of Akusam, which in 350 AD eventually invaded Kush and destroyed Meroe. So guys, the video is already 20 minutes, so I'm gonna finish here and we will see each other in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a thumbs up and comment if you like this type of content. And I'll see you soon.